It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielson, Matt Kassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gage.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Two Guys and a Goalie. Thank you very much for joining us here on a game day on a Thursday. The Oilers and the New York Rangers going at it tonight. Nielson and Gage are in studio. Matt Kassian at his Sherwood Park offices, Cass? Early mute.
Nope, at the downtown ones today.
Oh, downtown office today. Oh, big boy, downtown today, eh?
That's why I'm wearing my sweater.
Oh, because it's chilly there?
It's cold, and I had to make that drive, and roads weren't fantastic. Yeah. So wear the sweater.
You wear a toque when you're driving in your vehicle?
No, I had one in my pocket though, in my
just in
pocket,
case.
Just in case.
Gage, have you put on a toque yet this year?
Oh yeah,
you have, eh?
Yeah,
I haven't yet. I'm trying to ride this. I
don't have hair, man. It's freezing, and I'm cheap.
So your head, is it actually freezing? By the way, you're growing in a little hair right now.
Yeah, it's got to come off.
It looks good.
It's a little old.
And I honestly thought you were a little bit bolder than that.
It's gotten worse, but I'm losing it.
It looks good.
It's going back. I'm about 575 down the power alleys right now. So
we've got lots to get to. Obviously, I will set up the Oilers here. I will get into the Pinto suspension as well. If you have any questions for us here on Two Guys and a Goalie today, feel free to do that. You know what we haven't had in a little while, though? A real little sort of nerd sesh here. Are you up to speed on Loki?
It's so good.
It is good.
I think I finished the first one.
You're not liking it?
Oh,
I watched all 3 episodes twice now.
Oh, really?
Well, there's a lot to understand, right? So
yeah,
guys, I'm not. Well, that's why I haven't loved it. Is because I'm just like it feels scattered, and I feel like I don't. Like I know Kang is your big bad guy, but it's just I feel like there's not a main antagonist, and I feel like I was having to like stop, and I don't know. It just didn't seem smooth to me.
Fair point on the main antagonist so far.
And second to that is Loki doesn't feel like Loki right now. Like he doesn't feel like mischievous, like unpredictable. And
feels like buddy cop Loki.
It feels like buddy cop Loki, and so I haven't. Like it hasn't been bad. I don't want to say it's bad. It's not bad, but it just hasn't enthralled me. Like season 1 was unreal. This one hasn't grabbed me as much.
I don't know.
You've only watched the first one, didn't you?
Yeah, I went back and watched the last 2 because I wasn't.
Okay,
so I went into the next one going, oh yes, I was thoroughly entertained. I just couldn't stay awake.
I do think. Who's the actor's name that plays He Who Remains? He was in some trouble with law. Anyway, Cass, have you watched all 3 episodes?
Yeah. Yeah, I watched all 3.
I thought his performance in the 3rd episode was pretty damn good.
Yeah, that was really good.
That was really good.
And he got cleared of all those charges, though.
Did he?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
It sucks even if you get cleared. Your reputation still takes a hit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see if they do develop him into the big bad that he's supposed to be in the show. There's only 3 more episodes. We're halfway through.
Is that really?
It's only a 6-episode season.
Well, that sucks.
But I'm a huge time travel nerd, man. Like I love seeing
that's
old
where
set pieces,
that's where I feel like there hasn't been it's like we'll fix the one machine, but it just I don't know. It's felt like, especially with how they ended the last season, and the tease at the end of the last season was them walking into the the room with Kang.
Yeah.
And it's like that's the big tease, right? And it kind of has felt.
I feel like it has to get back to that point at some point, right? Like,
well, it hit that point, but it's just the tension. The tension hasn't been there. I don't know.
The other thing I want to get to before we dive into this Pinto suspension and the Oilers and Rangers tonight, I hopped on Instagram quickly between shows, and I got a DM from a certain Joaquin Gage who's trying to get me to go and spend hundreds of dollars at Costco, which I certainly will, because what did you see? Now, is this just in the United States or is this in Canada now?
Yeah, I think it's just in the United States, but man, I would spend a fortune.
I know.
Oh, Christmas coming along.
Oh, yeah.
Here you go.
I'd be getting you guys the same thing. So, Cass, Gager had this Costco video of them selling like full sets of mini F1 cars at Costco now, just by the pallet, like 6 or 7 or 8 cars in each pack. Like all the different Ferraris, all the different Mercedes. I want them all. I want them all.
Oh, they look so good too. Yeah, maybe I'll swing by Costco. They might be there.
We might want to check.
Yeah.
Do you guys have to buy them for me if I win the pool?
Oh, that's up to Commish.
Yeah. No, you just get a trophy if you win.
All right, let's get to a few of your questions rolling in. Let's start with the big news today comes down. The NHL says it doesn't have any evidence that Shane Pinto was betting in any way on National Hockey League games, but he has been suspended for half a season for betting infractions. Gage, let's start with your thoughts. Pretty heavy ticket when you weren't even betting on your own sport, but your thoughts on this?
Well, was he betting on other NHL games? Is that
No, it says there's no ties to NHL betting.
This is weird. Like, I don't know. I think a guy can partake in betting in other sports that he doesn't have influence on. You could argue about betting against other NHL teams.
Yeah, because you might know things. You're a buddy with a goalie. He goes, man, I'm starting tonight, but I'm feeling awful. You know, I get that.
Yeah, your buddies, you have a buddy on another team. Oh, yeah, he's not playing tonight. He's got the flu or something. So it gives you maybe a little bit of insider trading kind of things. But, yeah, kind of puzzling to me. There's got to be something more to it, Dusty.
There has to be, but nothing has come out, guys. Like, I feel like if he was betting on NHL games, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. It'd be more than 41 games. Like, that'd be a year at least.
Without question. But if it's not on NHL games, it's not like it's illegal. And we've seen, and I don't know if everything's resolved yet with Evander Kane, where he had run into some issues with gambling and debts and all that, and it's like you didn't suspend him for gambling, and then you cleared him of betting on NHL games because that was an accusation that had been made, and they cleared him of it, and they didn't suspend him for it, and rightly so if he wasn't betting on NHL games. I don't understand it. Like what is he betting on? That justifies that suspension. I don't understand. Unless it's like, he was betting with teammates on stuff, but then it's a two-sided thing, and it's like he's taking advantage of young teammates, like he's a team bookie, and he's like running a illegal bookkeeping operation.
Maybe he was running his own operation.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, that's what I mean. Like that's the only thing I can think of where I'm just like this actually makes sense. So I just.
But it wasn't NHL related. So what was he running, like an NFL betting scandal with some of his teammates?
What I mean. I wish there were more information. And maybe there will be, and maybe more will come out.
I've seen some people saying we might not ever find out more information because it's legally
you can't.
You can't get it. So
you can't get, but that's where I don't understand. I don't understand.
It's a really weird place to be at in the betting sphere right now. And, we are heavily involved with CoolBet as partners here at Edmonton Sports Talk. And Two Guys has been presented by CoolBet for 4 years before Edmonton Sports Talk. But Big Uke has an interesting question there. He goes, you should be able to bet. You should be able to bet too when your team has Bet365 logo on your damn helmet. Like the NHL is making tens of millions, likely hundreds of millions of dollars off these betting companies, but you're telling your players that you can't bet on anything. Like on your own team, obviously, no, you probably should never play again. Betting in the league, no, I understand that too. But why can't Shane Pinto bet on a basketball game? Like, how does that impact the National Hockey League in any way? I don't, especially like before when it was all, you couldn't do it and it was illegal. But now, I mean, and we're guilty of it here too with CoolBet, but anywhere you look, there's Bet365 and there's Sports Interaction and there's Bodog and there's CoolBet. Everywhere you look, like, I don't know how the NHL you can go, oh, you're done for half a season because you bet on something that wasn't NHL related. To me, it's a really weird spot.
It's so hypocritical to have all these betting.
I don't get it.
Yeah, these ads, and then find out this guy's got the Chris Pronger MGM Grand app on his phone, betting on who knows ping pong. And
like, was it? I wonder. Like, is it like I mean, was he trying to fix games in the NBA? Like,
well, I kind of joked today. I said, maybe it wasn't betting on games, but maybe was he trading insider information to a bookie outside of the NHL? We saw that with the NBA ref. Have you watched that documentary?
Yeah.
Tim Donahue.
Yeah, and he was just sending info out. Right?
Yeah,
But wouldn't that fall underneath, because that's influencing betting on hockey games? Like, wouldn't that fall underneath the hockey category of like evidence of that?
I don't know. I'm sure we'll find out because he'll probably appeal this, wouldn't he?
I hope we find out.
Well, I don't know. I think he's already gone out and apologized.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if there's an appeal coming. You just eat the 41 and go from there. This text is in. Of course, you can text us anytime. That's the best thing about the new two guys and a goalie here on Edmonton Sports Talk. 780-218-9999, 780-218-9999. My guess, he may have used an illegal process or person to make his bet. So maybe he was trying to be super sneaky about it.
Yeah.
When I saw 41 games, I think all of us, our first thought was, oh, he was betting on National Hockey League games.
Yeah.
And then when it comes out, the only statement they make is there's no evidence of betting on anything from an NHL perspective. I'm not too sure. Kramer's in and says, hey, this is a quote from Kramer from somebody who texted in and says, hey, a rule is a rule. And let's face it, without rules, there's chaos, right? And I guess I think at some point when you're so deeply in bed with sports books and you've got Connor McDavid doing MGM commercials, why can't a player bet on Sunday NFL action? I don't know. I'd like to know the entire story behind it. Tube Socks is in and says he's not appealing it, so that must have already come out as well. So maybe we'll never know, or maybe it'll be an epic documentary 15 years from now. Right? The Pinto Files.
That's good.
Something along those lines. All right, let's get into the Oilers and the New York Rangers tonight. First of all, we got your thoughts on post-game before, Cass, you were working on Tuesday. Would love your thoughts on the debacle that we saw against the Minnesota Wild.
Yeah, well, first thing, global correspondent. So I was in Saskatoon.
That's right.
And was able to go watch the Blades versus the Moose Jaw Warriors, which was a blast of a game. Actually, two really good teams. I think they'll be kind of two of the big competitors in the West. Pretty fun. So I would recommend getting to watch those teams when they roll here if you're in Edmonton. If you're one of our Saskatchewan listeners or people out there, go check it out. Blades look pretty good. Moose Jaw bounced back in the third. It was fun, a ton of fun. My thoughts on the game. Tire fire again. I mean, like it wasn't like a horrible game where they played horrible the whole game. But they just can't pull it together for 60 minutes, guys. They can't pull it together for 60 minutes. And I'm at a little bit of a loss. Like I want to say, part of me wants to say, don't hit the panic button. But it's just like they either make big mistakes or they, in last game, a little bit more cracks in the defensive zone, but it's like either cracks in the defensive zone, big mistakes, or they can't pick up guys on rushes against. And I don't know what the solution is. Like it's just not there right now. It's just not there. And, I was talking with someone else today, and in the office here, one of my coworkers, and he was just like, yeah, if you think about it, and you look at the start that Vegas is having, it's like they've lost probably the opportunity to finish atop the division already.
It's getting away from them big time. Yeah,
it's getting away from you. So it's like, I want to say there's lots of time left, but guys, like, oh man, you're falling apart. So I mean, big errors again. Defensemen that haven't taken a step forward again, and it's just not enough right now. So I don't know what you do, guys.
I liked what Chris Joseph said on the Hangout.
I was listening today to what I like that too. I was going to bring it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, just he thinks it's a systems issue where they're just not getting it. And he told that great story of when he was in Vancouver and Tom Rennie had the left wing lock, and it finally took Dana Merzen to step up and say, we're not getting it. We're not doing the system anymore. And so, yeah, it's puzzling because hockey players are intelligent and the ability to adapt. And look, there's not just one system. Like there's multiple different variations that you kind of adjust throughout the season, but they look like a team when you think about it, and there's a system in place that they're caught in no man's land. They just can't get it. They don't understand it. There's not enough communication. It's puzzling to see them have that much difficulty where they've had a long time to kind of get this under wraps.
I've heard, and you guys, well, Cass, I mean, playing this zone defense or a box and one, I think it was Belzy who said, and I think Gazdic mentioned it, or it was Mike Johnson last week on our show. Like, this is supposed to be an easier defense to play. Cass, is that kind of the case? Did you do a lot of zone and man-to-man switches throughout your career?
Again, I don't think it's that dramatically different. It's more of a positioning. So, I mean, we've talked about the system a lot. People have talked about the system switch and how big it is. And it's like, it's a minor switch that was made. And at this level and at the NHL level, this should be something really, really quick to pick up. It shouldn't take you a long time to pick this up. Because it's you're basically playing a little bit more of a collapse down to your net D, protect the front of the net, give up more to the outside, and allow your defensemen and your forwards to help your defensemen in front of the net. I mean, that's kind of how it's structured to do. And guys, I don't think here's the thing. Last game there were some issues in the defensive zone, but I don't think they've got absolutely beat up where they've given a ton of high danger chances in the defensive zone. I mean, to me, this is a neutral zone thing. Now, if you want to say the system's in the neutral zone, because they've shifted more to like a 1-1-3 in the neutral zone to try to cut down on rush chances against, I mean, that's hasn't been as good, but even then, it's like, if they're set in that, they haven't had issues. It's not like the other team has, we turn the puck over, the other team has a puck and they're backing up and we're in our set 1-1-3. Where they've got absolutely burned is in quick transition. And that's not a systems thing to me. So I'm like, I don't think it's a systems thing, because I don't think that's where they've got absolutely hammered. Where they've got hammered is when they turn the puck over and it's chaos. Like, they don't have time to get to their system. And maybe as I'm talking and thinking out loud, maybe it is a systems thing, because they turn the puck over and they think, oh, 1-1-3. But it's like, well, no, you don't have time to set into that. You're in backup mode to play defense and to sort out. And if I go back, gentlemen, and this is the reason I don't think it's a systems thing, if I go back into even last year, one of the areas that they struggled was transition against, was giving up rush chances against when they turn the puck over, or even more specifically would be, let's call it sort outs. So the communication and the who has who coming back into the defensive zone, sorting out where do guys go, not over back checking, finding the late guys, and just the communication and the process of how do we figure out who has who to keep everyone on the outside, to make sure there's no loose bodies, because to me, that's where they've got absolutely lit up.
But don't you think it's a system in their own end, though, Cass? Because that's when they're really struggling.
I was going to put out the one thing that was really an issue last game is that the Oilers' net front has to be the easiest net front in the history to get to.
Well, which goal was it? 5 or 6? Like, it looked like bubble hockey, where they were just in the same spot, flapping their sticks around, doing nothing, and it went through the box like 8 times.
You're supposed to play, again, a little bit more of a collapse defense. Like, very few teams play true man on man. You don't. We saw Vancouver try it with Filthy Bruce, and it was a gong show.
So tell us about this zone. Like, how do you operate? You when a guy comes into your zone, you kind of go with him till he leaves the zone. Like, I grew up playing basketball zone defense. Like, I understand that, but
it's modified zone. Everything's a modified zone, and pretty much every team plays a modified zone, where it's not like, oh, I only got the guy in my area. It's like, well, no, you have layers of defense. So I'm gonna start drawing here, because I don't have something I can do it on there. And we'll see how this goes.
Maybe you guys sketch.
We do. You know what? I got to talk to the guys at TSN, and when we're done the CFL season, we'll get that bloody teleprompter. Over there. Right, steal it from a dome truck, and we're gonna, because Cass is going to be drawing on a piece of paper and holding it up in front of the camera. With that being said, I'm very interested to see. What this is supposed to look like.
We have the reincarnation of Howie Meeker right now.
The other day, I was doing it on this monitor, and somebody's like, "Dusty, you're just like Howie Meeker." I was just like, "Oh wow, look at this."
He was great. I loved Howie. God, he was angry.
All right, I'm very intrigued to see her, because Gage, that was an issue. Like, that one goal we broke down when Kaprizov brought it up along the boards, and Nurse didn't stop the pass, passing down the side of the net. Nuge wasn't where I don't know if he was. Like, I don't know where they're supposed to be, and they don't look like they know where they're supposed to be.
Well, again, I mentioned about the communication factor. Like, you have to be yelling this, like, here behind you, but like it seems so puck focused, and everyone's trying to say, oh, this is my area, and they get caught in no man's land when they have to. There's no decision making.
All right, Cass, what do you got?
All right, so we'll see. As I move my mic, we'll see how well we can see this. But this is generally how most teams play. So from a modified zone, where if, let's say puck's in the corner, you have D1 on the gentleman in the corner, You have typically your centerman or your F1 in a support situation behind. So may close in, may back up, but you kind of have your layers. Your D2 generally holding strong side post, defending anyone that's trying to sneak around. If puck switches side, he becomes D1 on the other side. F3 is the guy that slides down. F2 is the guy that has the point. Now the Oilers, if we're looking at this, I'm going to try to do this. This will be if we're looking at this. What they have done is they have collapsed this a little bit where F3 slides down a little bit. D2 may slide away a touch from the post a little bit more to the front of the net. And they basically try to expand the zones a little bit to make it a little bit softer in the corner, but tighter to the front of the net. So you're trying to cut down on your high danger chances there. And it's not what they're playing is not that different from that. They're just saying, okay, centerman, whoever's low, don't be so quick to commit to the pile. Sit back a little bit. And if we don't turn the puck over, we have a lot of bodies around the net. We can help around the net. Now, again, I think aside from last game, I don't think there was huge issues with how they were playing in the pure defensive zone. They weren't giving up a million grade A chances. They were giving up rush chances against. Now, last game, we saw some exposure there, not a great game from a defensive zone standpoint. But to me, that hasn't been the ongoing issue. The ongoing issue has still been the big mistakes. And the ongoing issue has been rush chances against, because pretty much every team plays that way. Now, man on man becomes way more confusing because you're following guys around. You have way more switches, where in this, it's like, well, if someone's leaving your zone, you kind of go up to the end of the zone with them, and you're reading and you're recognizing if someone's coming into your zone. Now, with that being said, if no one comes into your zone, you stay at the bottom of it. You may push more into the middle to the front of the net, but you're not completely abandoning your area, because you don't want to be guarding nobody, but you want to be in a position where if the puck starts to move to the net, you can collapse, you can help. And again, 99% of the teams play this. There may be one or two that play man on man, but that's extremely rare because it's way more difficult to play. And I think you struggle, and teams struggle defensively when they play it. Now, if you want to tell me last game they really struggled in front of their net and it was easy, Dusty, your comment that it was easy and it's easy for teams to get there. Well, that's not a systems issue. That's not a systems issue. That's a softness issue.
Well, they definitely have that.
And that is a whole another kit and caboodle to say, and I would say they have a softness issue before they have a systems issue where they're not hard to play against. And part of the challenge for me is, telling players to play a little bit back and trying to help the front of the net. Well, maybe that just encourages more softness. And that could, create some issues with it. But to me, it's not like a positional systems issue. It's still ultimately, to me, has been an execution issue, execution and softness, execution in defending on the way back. Again, I think last game we saw execution in the defensive zone. When they have turned the puck over, that's been a huge execution issue where they haven't been clean. They haven't got to the puck to the forwards well. And I mean, I don't know. I could ramble on and I'm just thinking as I'm talking.
Well,
here,
no, you bringing up the softness issue is a perfect example to kind of transition over here. And Gage, did you have anything else to add to that zone breakdown, or?
I'm on the. I think it's more of a systems issue, Cass. Campbell covered up a lot of that stuff in the second period. If those goalies are magical.
He was brilliant in the second period.
Yeah, goalies are magical when they make big saves because you forget about the defensive collapses, like the breakdowns. So I think if it really fell apart in that second period, we could really dissect what it looks. I mean, it was bad enough in the third period, but I find the system that they're using, they're not doing it well enough in their own zone. But softness is a huge part of it.
Softness is a huge part of it, and that brings us to Bouchard. He got absolutely ripped yesterday on our morning show, and that was by me and other people as well. Like there was no defending what he did. I would think he was directly responsible for 4 goals against in that game.
Yeah,
really. I mean, he was the leading factor on 4 goals against in that hockey game.
Well, wasn't it you, the first goal? Like, why was he just standing there? Couldn't he just push him?
He was just standing there.
He was standing right beside the guy that scored and not being physical at all. Like it was almost apologetic.
One Campbell was going out to try to cover and bring it back in. Gosh. He knocks it right up the middle, which even if you're going to, first of all, either push it back into your goalie or let him cover it, or not go up the middle. I mean, do something with it there. The other one, the puck came around and it wasn't a hard rim that came around the boards. He just bobbled it, and it was tic-tac back in the net right after that. And then the pinch, and that one kind of got through Campbell, but still, that's a real tough spot to look at. I didn't think he should have been on the ice at that point, and they kept rolling him back out there. And, they've adjusted a little thing today in practice. Looks like he's going to be on the third pair, and Broberg will be with Ekholm. He's still going to be on the power play, obviously, and we hope he cashes that over 0.5 points that you can get right now at Cool Bet, because I'm on that today. And Pinto probably would like that bet as well, I would think. But Cass, when you watch, we've all had a chance to discuss Bouchard from the last game. Where are you at on his last game? Does that sense of urgency defensively ever come at this point? And how do you handle him if you're the coach, and is moving him to the third pair today the right move?
Yeah, I don't know if it ever comes, guys. It is so hard to coach that into a player. Like it's so much easier to have to coach into a player. Hey, like, you got to reel this in a little bit. You got to find this line. And you've been crossing it too much. Let's reel you back in. Let's pull you back a little bit. Where the passivity. I mean, it's just it's really hard to coach that into a player. Now, maybe the switch flips and it clicks, and he realizes that he's a big body, that he can play more physical. But I mean, thus far it hasn't. So I don't know if it ever does. And that's where, typically, and where we saw last year him start to have success, was putting him with an Ekholm, a guy that plays hard, that plays physical, and can kind of balance that pairing out a little bit. But he hasn't been very good. He hasn't been very good. His execution has been bad. His turnover rate in the defensive zone is incredibly high. Can he move the puck well? Yeah, well, he can move the puck well when he's not turning it over. He can move the puck well when he's not getting knocked off it. He can move the puck well when the Oilers have the puck. But he's not great at separating and forcing turnovers the other way in the defensive zone. So, I mean, he absolutely, to me, I'm like, well, yeah, based on this play, probably should be in the third pairing. So, is this going to be a wake-up call for him? Maybe. I hope it is. I hope we see more out of him. I hope this drives a little bit of fire in the belly that maybe pulls out some of that aggression. But I don't know if it will, guys.
Take away his Jello in the old folks' home. I don't know.
No more Oilers for you.
Who said John Wickham, like steal his car?
That was me. We were at Boston Pizza. You come up, you're like, what do we do with this guy? I said, that's John Wickham. Steal his car, kill his dog, and see if he gets pissed off about something. Maybe that's what needs to happen. Like Jamie McLennan yesterday on our show basically said the only way that you can hold players accountable is with ice time. And I know he was out there, had an assist on the goal, but after that goal that came around behind the boards and behind the net and he bobbled it, you had 6 other defensemen. I would not have played him again in that hockey game. They only have 18 players available to them, so they need them all to play tonight in 11-7 setup. But Gage, do you think if they actually had a full roster, like with players that could play, they would have sat him down here?
Oh, yeah.
For this game,
I think he would have been out.
Yeah.
Like, that's enough's enough, right? They got to show something. Being the or just grocery sticking it in the middle of the bench. Chris, I remember that saying. I hadn't heard it in years. It's so funny.
Is that on the hangout today?
Yeah. So
grocery sticking it?
Yeah. So when you do something and where you're just going to go to the middle of the bench, so you're the grocery stick. And the,
oh yeah,
you're separating the defense and the forwards. No, something has to be done because he not only does he get another, he gets to go back out in the power play.
Yeah.
And then he gets a point. So he starts feeling better about himself. And then he lets, I think it was
that was the pinch after that.
Yeah. Then the pinch right after. So there's no repercussions for mistakes. And that can't happen with a guy that should be, I'm not going to say mistake free, but you should be reliable enough to have out there in defensive parts of the game. It's crazy.
So what does Broberg have to do tonight then, beside Ekholm, Cass? Like, well, how do you evaluate? And are you on with Tommy tonight, pre and post? Muted.
Yeah, I'm on with Tommy pre and post.
So how will you evaluate Broberg tonight?
See, when part of the challenge is Broberg sometimes suffers from a little bit of the same thing, which can be, how do we evaluate Broberg tonight? I want to see Broberg. Like, you're going to make little mistakes. That's fine. I want to see him not have any of your grade A massive, what the heck was he doing mistakes. And the other thing I'm going to evaluate is how strong is he on the puck in the defensive zone. That's going to be another thing. I think it's not going to be an easy game tonight. I think you're playing a better team offensively than you've played.
Probably the stiffest test they've
so
had
far this year.
Yeah.
Yep. The toughest test you've had this year in terms of forwards that can challenge you offensively and attack and are skilled at attacking. So, can he limit the big mistakes, and can he be strong on the puck in his own end? I mean, I know that's very qualitative and not quantitative. But does he turn the puck over? How does he do under the pressure? I mean, how does he respond? What type of game does he have? Again, very, very qualitative evaluation. I mean, I think we look at it after, as I typically do with your analytics and with everything, and we use that to unpack, what we saw. But yeah, is he hard on pucks? Is he more difficult to play against? Does he not have any of those big turnovers or big mistakes?
What an opportunity, though. If I'm Broberg, I'm like, dude, this guy's struggling. I could really solidify myself in this lineup with a really solid game
games, right?
against a really good opponent. So take advantage of this if you're he's listening. So just have a great game, kid.
Yeah. So the one thing today on the Hangout, we had Gager and Chris Joseph. And if you've not yet subscribed to the Hangout, make sure you do that every single day live from 9 to 11 right here at Edmonton Sports Talk. I was out driving and I was listening, and I think Maddie asked you guys, like, so where do you go? Like, you're 1-4-1. We got a good text message on this 1-4-1 record, and we'll get to that in a second. If you want to text us, 780-218-9999. But I think it was, like, how do you get out of this? And I kind of chuckled because I'm not sure they're able to do it. But Joseph said, you got to win 2-1 hockey game. Yeah. You got to focus on defense and say, we're not going to beat you by scoring more goals than you. We're going to beat you by allowing less goals than you. And this is a team that is allowing 4.5 goals per game right now. So I'm not sure they're capable of it. Do you think they're capable of winning a low-scoring, shut-down hockey game tonight?
Well, they should without Connor in the lineup. They know they're not getting at least 2 points. You have to look at the game in that respect. And look, this has been the message since the last game of the year last year, Dusty. We need to get better defensively. We can't outscore our problems. I was in total agreement with Chris when he said that. That's not only it tells you can play that style, especially going up against the Rangers would give you a little bit more of a boost. But yeah, they need to start learning not only that it's possible, but what that does for the rest of your lineup and what that does moving forward as a team, knowing that you can suck the life out of teams and just not give them anything. That shutdown, because that's what we thought until you did the verbal wave at Boston Pizza.
Yeah, that was my bad. I jinxed the entire thing.
But that's what I wanted to see the last game. That's what I wanted to see. No, they just still get into that thing where, you know what? We're just going to keep scoring here.
Cass, what do you think? Can they shut it down somehow? Or does it just have to be Skinner standing on his head tonight?
I don't know. Say I want to say it has to be Skinner standing on his head, but part of me is just like, is tonight the night? Like, do they wake up tonight? And I want to believe that. For as much as I, feel like my hand is hovering over the panic button, like brushing it, ready to press. Part of me is just like, well, it's tonight the night they figure it out. Now facing a tougher opponent. Facing a team they know is going to challenge them. Is this going to pull out the best in them? Has the urgency in the room got to the point where they kind of crack and in a positive way and actually bring their best game and actually bear down and actually really pull it together? So, and you know what? For sake of being positive, let's go with that. I'm going to go with that. I think tonight you see increased urgency. I think you see some increased urgency and a little bit of that desperation that they just haven't had yet this season.
Until something goes wrong, then I kind of worry that, like, oh crap.
They've had great games against the Rangers before, like at this time of year.
I think I saw Jack Michaels mention that the last 3 games against the New York Rangers, one of the teams was leading by 3 goals, and the other team came back to win. So we could be. I mean, that's a good play for the over tonight at 6.5, a cool bet. But it's also kind of an interesting stat. The other interesting stat that popped up the other day, Wyshynski had this. Campbell and Skinner have combined for a .605 save percentage on high danger scoring chances so far. Nobody else in the league is under 7, and they're at .605. I still think Campbell's been pretty good so far this year. I do wonder when they chart these high danger scoring chances, like even all high danger scoring chances are different than other high danger scoring chances, in my opinion. But has it been that bad? Where does goaltending land in all of this 1-4-1 start? Because as surprising as it is, the goaltending has kind of flown under the radar in the blame game through the first 2 weeks.
Well, let's look. 2 goals stand out to me. The one where Skinner gets caught in between with the poke check and then actually draws the puck back to his own player. Darnell Nurse goes into the butterfly with the puck behind the net. That was a little puzzling. But and then you had I think it was the Hartman hat trick goal where hits his stick, and I think he was going to do something else, but misplayed it. Campbell misreads it. It's a stoppable puck. But those are the only 2 goals where really I have issues with. Everything else is off a huge mistake with a huge scoring chance that's ending up in the back of the net. And like you said at the beginning, Cass, it's a lot of these huge mistakes there's no recovery. It's going in every single time. They're not, and Campbell did that. Like he was taking away those goals last game in that second period. Every giveaway, he was there to bail them out and just couldn't keep doing it for another period. But I like where they're at. I really like where Jack Campbell's at. I said I'm a little bit worried about his play now mentally, just because he's had great performances, but he's still allowing 5-6 goals a game. It does something to your psyche being a goalie. He's playing well, but still allowing those goals. I would get Grant Fuhr up here and just have a chat with him because nothing fazed that guy.
Cass, what do you think about these 2 guys between the pipes? And I'd say there's a 60% chance tonight on the post-game show you guys are being like, man, Skinner's got to stop that one. Skinner's got to stop that one. So where are you at on it right now?
I'm not Nancy negative because to me the goalies have been a smaller issue. They've been a smaller issue, and have there been moments when we've said, we wish they would have stopped it? Well, yeah, but I think the bigger issue is with the team in front of them right now. Like, has there been? Let me ask you this, guys: has there been a game this year where you've said the goalies lost them that one?
There's been
not a lot. Oh no! Has there truly been where the team outplayed them in the goalie?
The Skinner Vancouver game.
This one?
The Skinner Vancouver game. I think
one game, but even in that game, it's like there was only one of the goals when Ekholm got beat wide. I can't remember who scored for Vancouver. But there was only one of the goals where you're just like,
that was Lafferty. Was that the Lafferty goal?
Yeah. Lafferty. That's right. Yeah, that was the Lafferty Daniel goal. That's a Happy Gilmore reference. That's not his name.
Actually, now that you say it,
that's good.
Yeah, that's good. Actually,
well played.
Well done, man.
Anyways, aside from that goal, it's like the other ones. 2 of them were deflections, and so it's just like, do you want him to have that one? Yeah. Do I feel that's a little nitpicky on the goaltending based on the rest of the team and the other, the not being able to score more goals with the amount of opportunities they had? I think that's a bigger issue to me. And the bigger issue is, even getting to that position where he needed to make a save on that. Like, you needed your goalie to make a save to win a game. Like, how many games have the Oilers had where it hasn't been like, oh, we really need that big save? Have they had any of those where it's just been like, oh no, they're playing so dominant, where it's like, no, you haven't needed to have the big save every night. You shouldn't need the big save every night. You shouldn't. You shouldn't. And that's why again, could the goaltending have been better? Yeah, it could have been better. Is that the reason that they're losing and they are where they are in the standings? No, I don't think so.
I can see them in each game. I can see the goalies wanting at least one back, where, that should have been that puck should have been stopped. But for a team that's making multiple mistakes on the defensive side, and your goalies, let's face it, have been making at least one mistake a game, which is understandable at the start of the season a little bit to get their their games together, but definitely not the reason why their record is where it's at right now.
Let's get to a few comments. Lots of text messages rolling in, 780-218-9999. Make sure you tell all your sports fans, buddies, that they can listen crystal clear to all of our coverage at Edmonton Sports Talk every single day at edmontonsportstalk.com. Calvin C., following up the Happy Gilmore's reference, says, Oilers fans are like, Mister.
With an air conditioner on top of them.
Mister. Ooh, it's that Mr. lady.
Your back is going to hurt.
Yeah. Oh, man, what a classic. Like, I don't know if I'd change anything about Happy Gilmore.
No,
like it's just all like, even the weird dream was awesome. Like even that worked out to fit in really well.
A lot of my buddies were in that movie too.
What?
Well, yeah, it was filmed in Vancouver. So the hockey stuff, when they're
Okay,
the initial like training camp.
Yeah.
I know like 3 of those guys that are laughing at him afterwards. They said
really?
it was the most fun hanging out with him.
Sandler would have been great.
Oh, he said it was great.
He just seems like one of those true superstars.
Yeah.
Like I want to go shoot hoops with Adam Sandler. I really do. Like
my buddy said that he the whole thing took an hour, and then they played the rest.
Did
of the
they
time.
play after?
Yeah,
And did Sandler play with him?
Sandler played.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. Arthur texts in, says, "Hey guys, love the show. You guys are amazing. Anyway, I'm sick and tired of us saying it's only 3 games. The issue is we let in 5 goals in the third period. Remember that we lost 8-1 to Vancouver too. These are not normal losses. If we were 1-4-1 in tight competitive games, I wouldn't be as upset as an Oilers fan, but run and gun hockey doesn't win championships." That one in from Arthur today. Like there hasn't even been as much gunning as usual. Like
No,
in the
it's
other
just been
years,
running.
right? Like
It's just been
it's
running.
just been running defensively.
Running.
Like,
Running backwards.
this is what they're trying to get sorted out though, right? It's not there yet, and you have to think that it comes at some point. This text in from I hope this guy is like a Marvel guy like ourselves. His text handle is Lick Fury as opposed to Nick Fury.
Yeah.
Hey boys, what about the forward lines tonight? Is Janmark still paying Woodcroft? So the forward lines, by everybody who was at the rink today, the forward lines, they're running it back. Matthias Janmark on that top line with Draisaitl and Kane, and then the super bad line with Hyman and Nuge and McLovin. And then Holloway still on the third line. I said this morning, I mean, if Janmark can play on the top line, then they can pretty much put anyone up on the top line. Cass, your thoughts on them? Now, I also said today I was extremely frustrated because I want to sit here and go get Janmark off the top line, but also after every game, I'm like, why do you keep mixing up the lines?
Yeah.
So I'm kind of torn on how to approach it. I said I wouldn't bitch about the line combinations tonight, so I'm not going to, but you guys can if you want. What do you think of Matthias Janmark still riding shotgun up there?
Well, I think with Janmark, you kind of know what you're going to get, and I think that's what they're going with. I mean, you're going to try to find something that works here. Yeah, I don't know. Part of me just wants to see how he does tonight, how that first period is tonight, if he's still up there, and if he does stay up there, because he is a guy that can play up and down your lineup, and you're not. The thing is when he's there, you're not asking him, or you shouldn't be asking him to do too much. You're asking him to be simple, get the puck to somebody else. That's really it. Is get the puck to somebody else and just go to the front of the net and try to create on that. So I don't know. I'm not upset about him being on the top line. I mean, you're trying to figure things out without Connor McDavid, who's the best player in the world. So obviously we're going to have a player there that's not the same caliber. And you know what? Well, you have a guy hurt and you're dealing with injuries. You just got to find ways to roll with it. And for Janmark is like, well, he's got to find a way to contribute and to be in that position and to be a part of it. And I don't know how long the leash is, but I guess part of that depends on how much he's paying Jay.
He should have had 2 goals last game.
He's not a finisher.
No, he doesn't. He's Swedish. No finish.
Gager, are they handling Holloway right here? I mean, we've talked about in the past of like putting guys up when it's too much for them and rushing these young guys. And Kyler Yamamoto had too much early, and Jesse Puljujarvi got ruined because he was given too much early. And now in the same market, and I'm guilty of it myself a bit. I'm like, hey, let's give Holloway let's give Holloway a look. Now, with that being said, if it was a full healthy top 6, I wouldn't be saying give Holloway a look there. But it's not. You're missing a guy who has a ton of speed and is one of your key contributors. Dylan Holloway gets around the ice relatively well. He's looked confident so far this year. Are they actually doing right by Holloway by just leaving him on the third line right now?
I think so. I know this is going to sound bad, but nothing's shown me that he is a bona fide like top 6 forward yet. Like there's flashes of his skill, but not enough to warrant putting him in that role right now. I like where he is. I think with his speed, his physical play, getting to the tough areas, there's not a pressure. Well, there's always pressure to perform, but I think we've seen in the past when you move him up in those first 2 lines and there, all of a sudden his mindset changes from playing a straightforward hockey game to now I have to produce and do something special because let's face it, he wants to stay in those positions. I like where he's at. I like where his game is. I think he can just play. And let's see if he starts producing and the puck starts bouncing his way a little bit more. He's scoring some goals. Then I might consider it, Dusty. But for now, we've just seen it too much with young players, thrusting him in those roles, and it just hasn't worked out. He looks fine where he is. He's arguably he's been one of the Oilers' best players in these 6 games. Leave the kid there.
Somebody in the nasty chat just said, as much as I dislike Janmark on the top line, I have a feeling he'll record his first point of the year tonight. That's got to be like plus 200 on sports books. I'm looking right now. I went to the players' points. I don't even think Janmark is on the book no, you can't even get him there. Now you can get Connor Brown no point at minus 141. You know, Brown kind of was up there at the top of the lineup before and hasn't got that other look yet. Where are we at on his game rounding into he shows nice little bursts of speed and tenacity. I just don't know if it's there consistently just yet.
It's weird that it's exhibition, and I thought that would translate more into the regular season. He kind of gets a break, right? But it's unfortunate that the start of the Oilers that now we're more concerned about his game and how he's progressing. I don't know. Having the year off it is difficult. I'm not gonna be too critical till the 10-game mark, Dusty. He's got a few more games to figure it out until then, and then I'm a little bit worried about because of the bonus mostly.
Well, I was gonna say, I mean, do you have to make a decision on this at some point? Like, if he goes 9 games with 0 points.
Yeah, it is concerning. It was funny talking to Hernan about all this.
Oh man, Cass, you missed Hernan at Boston Pizza on Tuesday night.
He was angry,
bringing some of the
full blown meltdown.
Oh, it was cayenne pepper. Cass, he was upset about the players that they lost and was making. Does Connor Brown replace what they had last year in the lineup?
The answer is no.
No, yeah.
No. I mean, this was financial. Like Yamamoto was, and I was a little bit of a Yamamoto detractor at times, but let's be honest, if they could fit him in the cap, Kyler Yamamoto would still be an Edmonton Oiler. Jesse Puljujarvi had to have a fresh start somewhere else, so that one's a non-factor. But Klim Kostin, once again, they couldn't pay him. He got paid somewhere else, and those are 2 guys that if the Oilers had the cap space to do it, I don't know why they wouldn't have wanted Kostin and Yamamoto to stick around, right?
No, they'd still be Oilers.
Yeah, so
he'd probably have Bukestad too.
Yeah, in a perfect world, you would have had enough money for all 3 of them, right? That would have been. Imagine this team with Bukestad, Kostin, and Yamamoto as 3 other options up front.
But that's basically Connor Brown's contract when it kicks in. I mean, I get.
Well, then maybe you don't let it kick in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
K Gill 97. You guys hated Yamamoto last year. LOL. I didn't.
No, I said. I mean,
maybe.
I was very much all over Yamamoto.
You guys were. I never was because positionally he just was always good. Now he didn't finish like you would like him to. He wasn't able to put the puck in the net like you'd like him to. But I was always actually pretty positive on him. But
that's what I said when his tribute video. I said they should have just a plethora of him not scoring.
Yeah, these great chances that he
great
couldn't bury.
chances and couldn't bear, and then have him score against the Kings for that game winner at the last one. I think that'd be hilarious.
Kevin Kassian. Hey, are you related to a Kevin Kassian?
Probably.
Anyway, Kevin Kassian says, everyone needs to calm down on Connor Brown. He'll be fine. He missed an entire year of NHL hockey. Players who miss training camp need time to catch up. Imagine missing a whole season, which is true. Which is,
I said that, though.
I'm
giving him a break.
Yeah.
He's got 4 more games in my books.
He's getting Ryan Stromed a little bit. Where they started him with Connor McDavid, and then it didn't go well for like 2 games, and then they never got another glimpse. That'll always be the thing that drives me nuts. You brought in Strome to play on the wing with Connor McDavid, had a couple of goals in one preseason game, then it didn't work for whatever it was. He didn't even get a long look up there. Then they took him off the line, then ended up trading him for Ryan Bloody Spooner. Like
we need to time split to that thread, Dusty, to see
yes.
what that.
What do they call the loom?
Yeah,
we need to hop in the temporal loom before it was back on the sacred timeline and go in and change that
and change it and see. Well, we could see what it was like on the other stream and then come back and change it.
Yeah. It would have been much better than Spooner. I think we're pretty clear. No matter what ended up happening with Strome, it would have been much better with Spooner. Hey, Cass, are you leading our F1 league still?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I haven't checked it out in a while. Sorry, boys. I've been busy. So what happens this weekend? Like, can somebody still catch Cass, or is it like?
Oh yeah, he's battling with Tony too.
Okay.
I'm lurking. I could have been there.
Are you McLaren?
No, but with Lewis and Leclerc
with the points,
getting,
did that hurt you?
Yeah, like I had them both, so I'm screwed. So yeah, which would have been, I would have made a lot of ground, and we have one more sprint race too, so 4 to go.
Is there a method to your madness, Cass?
A little bit. I mean, it hasn't been the way they changed the system this year. There hasn't been as much movement, like where you're in and out of guys, which is I kind of was a little disappointed the way they priced the players, like where you could try to time things a little bit more to gain more cap last year. And it's a little bit less this year, but no, I mean, there's a little bit of, I don't want to say too much. I'll tell you guys.
I was just going to say, keep going.
This
I was
team
getting on my
principles.
phone to take notes here.
Team principal Cass, keeping it close to the vest. I like it.
Yeah. I'll spill the beans after this.
He'll show us his floor after the season.
I hope there is cheating and Gager can kick you out of the league, man. Like, all right, let's go. Predictions for tonight. Maddie, you can come shut us down here. Predictions for tonight, buddy. Where are you going? 7-1 Oilers?
No, I'm gonna. That hasn't worked thus far.
No, it hasn't.
I'm gonna go 3-2 Oilers.
Ooh,
tight one.
Ooh, you going with the Chris Joseph plan here. I like that. Gager, what are you going with?
Fortunately, 5-2 Rangers.
I think I'm leaning close. Maddie and Mr. Lean here booing Gager right now.
I'm sorry.
Look, the Rangers have been a much better team. They're first place in their division. They've been good on this trip so far. I think that's a team that can take advantage of any sort of mistakes that the Oilers make. I think I'm with Gage here. I think it ends up being like a 5-3 Rangers win. Go ahead, boo us. At least we're not a bunch of homers. Like Cass hasn't picked the Oilers to lose a game in 4.5 years.
Yeah, he has them winning by 8 goals.
Yeah, exactly. All right, that's going to do it for Two Guys and a Goalie. Boys, you have a good weekend. Cass, good pre and post tonight, buddy. Gager, I think you might slide on an oil stream tomorrow, maybe with Tommy Gazzola. I got to head down to Calgary right after the Nielson show. Tomorrow, Two Guys and a Goalie up next on Tuesday. Make sure you tell your friends about the static-free sports talk here every single day at edmontonsportstalk.com. That'll do it for us today. Nielsen show back tomorrow. And, of course, pregame show tonight, 5:30 with Tommy Gazzola and Matt Kassian. We'll talk to you then.